Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks and another early video for you here today, and that is because Wargaming are releasing new content inside the final day of the auction, and there's a brand new vehicle called the Gonsalo, which is available for the next 13 hours for a starting bid of 10,000 gold with 20,000 of them available. It comes with a special style called Many-Faced, with Wargaming saying there are additional options to modify its appearance, so I guess you're going to be able to change its face depending on what kind of a mood that you're in. Once again, I haven't been able to get my hands on this vehicle. There's going to be no gameplay today, but I can at least dive deep into the statistics to try and make you all have an informed decision rather than go in and purchase something blind that you have no idea how it's going to play, which is what Wargaming seems to be pushing in the auction today. Now, what exact faces you're going to have and how they're going to work remains to be seen. I've asked Wargaming whether they're going to be able to reply or not before I have to be able to get this video out. Again, remains to be seen. In addition to the Gonsalo, Wargaming are also selling a pack of Warhammer commanders and styles. I don't expect that the pack is going to have unique voice acting, but I have to admit the Emperor's Wrath style does look pretty darn cool, and so does the Chaos Undivided style. Whether or not that is going to be worth the 3,500 price tag with 30,000 available is going to be your decision. Both of the auctions today are open style auctions, and so if you wait later on today and there are 30,000 bids, then you're going to be able to see what the middle bid is, which will kind of be a guaranteed value for which you could be able to get the content, which is always nice when Wargaming do those open styles. Just a heads up that yesterday, the WZ120GFT didn't even fully sell out on the European server, as I posted up on Twitter and Instagram, that the competitive bid never even appeared. And I guess that's because they didn't even manage to get the maximum amount of bids on a very dull and overpriced Chinese premium tank, which undoubtedly I'm going to be playing a little bit today on stream. So now I'm going to give you a breakdown on the Gonsalo. And what you really need to know about this vehicle is it is just like a Caliban, but unlike the IS-3A Peregrine, it actually has a different gun on the vehicle, and there's a few other statistics that are different about it. I'm going to be comparing the Gonsalo to the other three premium British Tier 8 heavy tanks, the Caliban, the Charlemagne, and the Carnarvon Action 10. Immediately we notice the Gonsalo, even though it has a lower caliber gun at a 120 compared to the 152 on the Caliban, has significantly worse damage per minute. Although that is when you're penning the armor piercing rounds on this tank and not when you're penning the Hesh rounds. The Gonsalo, unlike the Caliban, which has two flavors of ammunition, either you fire HE or you fire AP as its premium, has AP as its standard and Hesh as its premium. Now if you fire Hesh, your alpha damage goes from 440 up to 530. Not really that much of an impressive increase. Your penetration drops from 240 down to 209, which is again not too much of a decrease, but your shell cost is going to go up to 5,200 a shot. So yeah, I really hope those extra little bits of damage that are worth it, because your shell cost is over quintupling. One of the disadvantages of having an ammunition loadout like this is you're not going to have any high penetration premium rounds. Unlike the Charlemagne, for example, which gets 270 millimeters of penetration on its premium rounds, what are you really going to do against the front of an E75 reliably, or when you get into those tier 10 games against tanks like an IS-7 with your 209 Hesh? The answer is not a lot. And with a very low damage per minute for 440 alpha compared to other premium autoloaders like the Skoda T56, which actually has more alpha damage and more damage per minute than the Gonsalo. Yeah, this one's not exactly looking like it's going to have a huge amount of firepower. What about the gun handling on the vehicle? 3.2 seconds aim time is definitely not good, but at least it's a little bit better than the Charlemagne. But this vehicle has horrible accuracy at 0.45, even worse than the Charlemagne. It has horrible dispersion values when you're moving at 0.25, and not bad when you're turning the turret, however, at 0.08. But this means that the gun handling when you're moving is going to be so much worse than the Charlemagne on this vehicle for a tank which has the same alpha damage at 440. It does have better gun handling than the Caliban, But let's be honest, this thing is hitting for 440 rather than 600 or 850, depending on which ammunition you use on the Caliban. And that thing has a 152mm caliber gun, which will overmatch all 50mm plates, which is a tremendous advantage with the AP. The mobility of the Gonsalo is actually a nice advantage of the vehicle. It can go 37 forwards, which is faster than any of the other British tanks in this comparison. And it can go 15 backwards, which is very healthy as well. So this thing will be more mobile than the Caliban when you also take into account that it gets 100 extra horsepower. But still, it's not exactly going to be the fastest heavy tank you're ever going to get in your life. And when you think about the fact that it's got not exactly the best kind of gun and gun handling, it's a darn good thing that it has this mobility. Armor-wise, the vehicle is identical to a Caliban with 1,500 hit points, and its armor, it's all right for a Caliban. You know, you've got good upper hull armor when you're using your gun depression, your turret becomes very good, you do have a weak point on top. But there's one thing that I really hate about the Caliban's armor, and that is that it's only got 35mm of side protection, which means that all 106mm caliber guns and larger will always overmatch the tank. And so inevitably, when you see a lot of these vehicles go into the game and play over the next few days, if you have a gun that's bigger than 105mm in caliber, just shoot the side. You're always going to go in. And accordingly, that means that when you play the Gonsalo, just like you would a Caliban, when you come around the corner against vehicles that have large caliber guns, you should just over-angle your hull and kind of come around the corner this way. Imagine that the corner is my trusty calculator, because that means that at least you're going to protect the inside part of your vehicle. And if you were to side scrape out like this, for example, then you are going to get overmatched and tracked, and it's not going to work out very well for you. Another minor advantage that the Gonsalo has is 380 view range. While this isn't fantastic for a tier 8 heavy tank, it's still not bad. And with a good crew and a premium consumable and the field mods, you are going to be spotting for yourself. Field mods wise on this vehicle, I'm going to improve my ground resistances, which will help my speed. I'm going to improve the accuracy of the vehicle. I'm going to increase the view range of the vehicle. And then finally, I'll probably end up taking a firepower slot to be able to either use an accuracy device in that vehicle. I think the accuracy device might be better on this tank than using vertical stabilizers. Or alternatively, I can just whack a gun rammer in that and try to pump up that DPM. And I think that this vehicle is fast enough that it doesn't demand a turbo. However, if you can fit one on the vehicle as well, then you're definitely going to be a faster heavy tank. And being able to go at 41 or 42, depending on whether you take the firepower slot or the mobility slot for your regular turbo, this thing could be able to get around, especially upslope, with that fantastic power to weight ratio. So all in all, the Gonsalo, it isn't like an auto reloading KV2 like the Caliban is. And I can tell you, the Caliban, if you're a good player and you can tame the gun, actually ends up being one of the most fun premium tanks that you can play. The Gonsalo feels as if it's a Caliban, which definitely is better in some areas, but just kind of has all of the fun stripped out of it. And so if you have a Caliban, would I recommend a Gonsalo? Probably not. I think the reason why you enjoy the Caliban will be because of that 2-round auto reloader and just how fun it feels to either hit 850 or 600. Nevertheless, if we take the Caliban out of the equation and we take a look how the Gonsalo measures up against the Charlemagne, it does look like it's a rather decent tank. And the only thing that I would say is that I still feel that the Charlemagne will probably end up being better because of the side armor on this vehicle. It's 70mm thick and it's well angled, which means that you can over angle the Charlemagne. You can actually side scrape in this vehicle without getting overmatched, and it will be just such a more resilient tank that when you use your gun depression, your weak point on top is nearly fully hidden. So all in all, the Gonsalo, definitely a better price and a better tank than the auction that we had yesterday. Nevertheless, I still feel this is a boring Caliban, and there are far better premium tanks that you could be able to get your hands on. So don't feel the pressure to have to pick this one up. It's not going to be a bad premium tank. Far from it. It will be all right. However, there are better tanks that you can be able to spend your hard-earned cash on unless you absolutely, utterly have to collect everything as you go along, or you just really like the silly face I do expect that this one's going to, once again, go for near the minimum bid. So don't feel like you have to bid very high for this vehicle to be able to get your hands on it. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video and it helped you with the Gonsalo. If it did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, however, give it a thumbs down. Oh, and also, don't forget to let me know in the comments down below what you think about the Gonsalo. Do you think it's an absolute whiff, or do you think it's cool and you're going to bid on it? And while it's really early and I don't even know what Tech Tree Showcase I'm going to be playing later on today, as it's Sunday, there will be one. And it's going to be starting at 7 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Central European Summer Time. And so tune in then for a mystery Tech Tree Showcase. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.